Hello, dear ones. I hope that you're all doing good. Welcome to a new science lecture video. We are still talking about animal reproduction. Today, we're going to talk about the reproduction of a new group of animals. In the previous lessons, we learned how plants reproduce. Plants are living organisms, so for sure they reproduce, whether sexually or asexually. Sexual reproduction happens in flowering plants in different stages, starting from pollination to fertilization, and fructification happens in some cases when the plant grows fruits. Plants also reproduce asexually in different ways, such as growing from runners, growing from rhizomes, growing from buds. If you still need any information or details about plants reproduction, you can just go back to the previous videos and watch them. For the animal reproduction, animals are also living organisms, so they reproduce, they make babies, they reproduce asexually and also sexually. Let's start with a quick revision about asexual reproduction. The type of asexual reproduction that we learned about was the binary fission. So here we have one parent cell. We have one parent only since it is an asexual reproduction. As you know, asexual reproduction does not involve the engagement of two parents. We only need one parent. In order to reproduce, cross walls, as you can see right here, start to form and to split the parent cell into two daughter cells. That's what we call binary fission. How does this happen? So here we have the constriction or the cross wall starting to split the cell into two daughter cells. These cells are like their parents, exactly identical to their parents. This type of asexual reproduction is called binary fission. Is there other types of asexual reproduction? Yes, there is, but for now I need you to understand what's binary fission reproduction. It is a kind of asexual reproduction that Paramecium, for example, and bacteria go through. What about sexual reproduction? When we say sexual reproduction, we mean the involvement or engagement of sex cells. There are two sex cells. We have the sex cells coming from the female, but also the sex cells produced by the male. Okay, so we have two different individuals, a female and a male, that make together a new organism. So we have right here, this is the sperm or the male sex cell, and here is the ovum or the female sex cell. Fertilization happens when the male sex cell combines with the female sex cells. After fertilization, an egg cell or zygote is formed. This zygote will grow into an embryo, then the embryo will turn into a baby. So here we have the sperm fertilizing the ovum to make a zygote or an egg cell. The result will be a new organism that is not identical to any of the parents, but similar to both of them, because we are taking both cells, the information found in the nucleus of each sex cell, of the sperm, but also of the ovum. Here we have the sperm going to the ovum in order to fertilize it and to form a zygote or an egg cell. Here is the zygote starting to make copies of itself, growing into an embryo. So we are multicellular organisms. We are made of an endless number of cells, but we all started as one cell, one egg cell. This egg cell starts to make copies. It multiplies to make or to grow into an embryo. Okay, the zygote makes copies of cells of itself. It multiplies too much to form an embryo. So it's a zygote and then an embryo. The embryo grows inside the female's body. Let me remind you that fertilization, the union of both the sperm and the ovum, happens inside the female's body. And also the growth and the development of the embryo or the baby happens inside the female's body. We're talking here not only about human, we are talking about the whole mammals group. We are talking about mammals. Okay, so fertilization in mammals happens inside the female's body. The growth of the baby from a zygote to an embryo and then at the end to a baby happens inside the female's body, inside the female's body, inside the female's body, inside the female's body. This is why we call them viviparous animals, since also at the end of the gestation period, the female will give birth into living organism, to a baby. Okay, inside the female's body, the embryo grows and takes all of its needs from its, the embryo takes its needs from the mommy, from his mother. At the end of the gestation period, which is the period of growth and development of the baby inside the female's body, at the end of this period, the female gives birth to a baby. Okay, and as you can see in the table right here, the gestation period is different. It depends on the type of the species we're talking about. So in human beings, the gestation period is equal to 9 months. It is almost 2 years in elephants. Almost also 9 or 10 months for cows, as you can see. So it depends on the species of mammals we're talking about. Again, sexual reproduction in mammals happens also in stages, starting from fertilization, the union of the sperm and an ovum inside the female's body. This will lead to an egg cell or a zygote. The zygote grows into an embryo. The embryo grows into a baby. The period, the time that this baby takes inside the female's body is called gestation. And during this period, the embryo or the baby takes all of its needs, food, oxygen from the mom. So the oxygen and the nutrients are taken from the mom. At the end of the gestation period, the female gives birth to a young organism, to a baby organism. This is why we call them viviparous animals, because the growth happens inside the female's body and the females give birth to young. What about birds? So we're done with mammals. Let's talk about birds. And here I chose the chickens as an example. Chickens do not give birth to baby, but they lay eggs. So they are not viviparous like we are. They are oviparous animals. Before I start talking about oviparous animals, let's watch this video together. This video shows the growth of a baby chicken. Where does this growth happen? Yes, inside the egg. The growth needs 21 days. Look at the blood vessels happening or growing inside the egg. We are talking about something called yolk. And the air cells up. And finally, the hatching stage. The chick is ready to go out of the egg. So first of all, the growth and the development of the baby happens inside the egg and not inside the female's body. So now the question is, who provides the baby chick, the baby bird, with oxygen and food? First, oviparous animals are animals that lay eggs. Reproduction starts by fertilization. Fertilization happens inside the female's body. Okay, the ovum found in the yolk, we will see what's the yolk in a few. So the ovum found in the yolk of the egg is fertilized inside the female's body. So there is something in common between mammals' reproduction and birds' reproduction, is that fertilization happens inside the female's body, inside the chicken. Then the chicken lays the egg in a nest. Third, it's incubation time. The chicken or the mommy bird keeps the eggs warm. This is super important for the eggs or the babies to develop inside the eggs. At the end, the babies hatch and go out of the egg. Here is the bird's egg. The yellow part is the yolk. The white part of the egg is the albumin. This is the eggshell. And here we have the shell membranes. The yolk, which is the yellow part of the egg, is the food source, is the source of food for the embryo. So the baby bird growing inside the egg takes its foods or its nutrient from the yellow part. This yellow part is the part that protects and holds the ovum, the female sex cell. The albumin is the white part of the egg, and this part gives the baby water and proteins. Okay, so water and proteins are provided by the albumin to the baby. So from here, the baby bird takes water and protein, and from the yolk, it takes the food, other nutrients. And as you saw in the video, there are some blood vessels forming inside the egg. These blood vessels will lead or will give are the roads for the food and the water and the proteins to reach the baby. The shell, the eggshell for sure protects and supports the baby. And this shell has like tiny pores to let the air goes or reach the baby inside. There are also some spaces, as you saw in the video, called air cells or air space for the baby to breathe. Okay, I will repeat. In an egg, you will see different parts. You will see the yellow part. This is the yolk. What's the job of the yolk? Is to give or to provide the baby bird with food. The white part provides the baby bird with water and proteins. طيب, how do food, water, and proteins reach the baby, arrive to the baby? It's by the use or by the help of little tiny blood vessels. So the tiny blood vessels will take the food, the water, and the proteins to the baby bird. What about the shell membrane and the eggshell? The shell membrane, they protect and support the baby inside the egg. The shell has like small pores or small windows, let's see, to let the oxygen pass and traverse the shell for the embryo to breathe. This is all. We talked about asexual reproduction of animals and sexual reproduction of animals. We said that mammals have different stages of reproduction than those found in birds, but they share things in common. What are the different stages of development of a chick? We start with the fertilization that happens inside the female's body. Then the female lays the egg. Then it's incubation time. What's incubation? It's keeping the eggs warm. And at the end, the hatching. Okay. Animals reproduce asexually and sexually. I explained them at the beginning. And the hydra, the bacteria, the paramecium, also I can add here paramecium, reproduce are living organisms that reproduce asexually. Okay, let me talk one more time about this. Here is a bird egg. As you can see, it is made of different parts. The egg shell that lets the oxygen pass through to for the embryo to breathe. The egg yolk, this is the yellow part that carries the ovum and that also provides the embryo with food. The albumin is the source of water and proteins for the embryo, and the shell membrane that support and protect the embryo inside an egg. I just needed to add something. We have to know these steps in order. So fertilization happens inside the female body. Then the female lays the egg in a nest. Then it's incubation time to keep the eggs warm. And at the end of the incubation time, so the egg hatches after 21 days, as we saw in the video. So the development and the growth of a bird inside of a chicken bird, of a chicken baby inside the egg needs 21 days, and the baby bird will hatch and come out of the egg after 21 days. Okay, for any questions, I'm always available and I will be happy to answer. Take care and see you in class.